Satnam, aloha. Let me just make sure that everything's going here. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, welcome to the live stream. This is about the new moon tomorrow. And actually, sorry, the new moon on Wednesday in this part of the world. And this good news for August. A lot of planets that have been in retrograde are going direct, including Mercury goes direct the day after the new moon. And that's on the 1st. So things should be lightening up now for us, which is good news. I'm sure everybody's been feeling the intensity. Okay, so the shadow pattern. So the new moon is in the shadow pattern of forgetting and the gift of mindfulness, awareness, and revelation. So what does this mean? Well, the shadow of forgetting has been with us from day one. As soon as we were born, we have this shadow. So it doesn't matter if it's in your chart or not. In essence, we contain all these 64 shadow patterns. So this is about forgetting our past lives. It's about forgetting our spiritual lessons that we've come here to learn in our school. And it's about forgetting about our karmic patterns. So ultimately, it's really about forgetting our true identity as eternal beings, having time-bound experiences. You could call that human experiences. So it's said that before we incarnate, you may have heard this yourself, we drink from the pool of forgetting. And think about how boring life would be if each one of us consciously remembered our past lives, right? Meaning that we would know what would happen in our life. We would know who we're destined to meet. You know, it's like, would be like watching reruns of like one season of the same show over and over and over again on Netflix. So it would make life kind of boring. But really, only the ego wants to know what's going to happen next. So it can feel some control in life. You know, to be all powerful, to predict the future. But the ego's kryptonite is growth and evolution. The ego is not interested in real growth and evolution, because in order to grow and evolve, it means our ego is dissolving, right? Little by little. And our ego dissolves in correlation to our growth and evolution. So I want to talk about samskaras. And so this new moon that's coming up is asking us to reflect and pay attention to the spiritual truth that we've been living in the same storyline over and over and over in each lifetime. And in the yogic world, we call this samskaras. And these are the mental karmic patterns that follow us lifetime after lifetime. And they live below our conscious awareness. So remember that everything begins with a thought, right? And a thought becomes a behavior, and a behavior becomes our character or our identity. Everything can be reduced to a thought that we see out here. So these are the thoughts that go way, 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 way back through all of your incarnations, right? You can smell the mothballs on them. They're that old, right? So in your present incarnation, this is your default drive. So when you're faced with a challenge, you immediately go to these samskaras, right? And they'll be unique to you. So here's an example how this works. So say the seed thought is, it's not safe for me to be my authentic self, right? It's not safe for me to be my authentic self in this world. So out of this seed thought, this one thought, right, this drives certain behavior, right? It will drive this behavior. So I'm going to use an example, right? What kind of behavior would the seed thought drive? Well, I don't speak the truth. I say only what people want to hear. I hide my light. I'm afraid to shine my radiance. I hide my gifts, right? Perhaps by diminishing them or not valuing them, or, right, deflecting compliments, that sort of thing. I obey all authority figures without question, and I'm afraid to stand up for myself, or I'm overly focused on others. I'm too worried about what other people think, or I isolate from others. So this is all the behavior that will come from this seed thought. Samskaras. So with every one of these actions, the mental karmic patterns become stronger and stronger. And then they're carried lifetime after lifetime. And they become your default program. And you're not aware of them because you forget your past lives. Really, you forget your past lives. Some people think they remember past lives, but you can tell that they're in their imagination. Because it's always to notice with people that their past lives are always a famous person. It's never a Joe Blow, right? From way back when. So that's just showing you that the ego is taking over. With my past life was Queen Mary and this and that. But we forget our past lives, right? So in essence, we forget ourself. We forget our authentic self. So that's the shadow in action. And we can feel victimized because we don't know that these samskaras are driving our behavior, right? And it can be the root of self-sabotaging behavior. So these samskaras are the same scars, right? Samskaras are the same scars that are coming up over and over and over again in each lifetime for healing. And these samskaras are tightly wound around your DNA. So they're constricting your growth. They're constricting your evolution, right? This is all going on at the deep, deep unconscious level. And this, in turn, this constriction, it affects how you perceive the world. So you're not perceiving the world in reality. It's like you have a filter on, like glasses. You got sunglasses and everything is dark. You're not seeing reality clearly. So this new moon, right, the shadow pattern of forgetting, that's why I call it the 33rd moon, is so it's 33 line 2, so 33.2. And so this is telling us that this has to do with your relationship with others. Line 2s are all about relationship with others. So think of your relationships. Maybe you're attracting the same person over and over and over again. Different body, different name, but same dynamic. And you may ask yourself, why do I keep attracting these people who don't value me? Right? I'm compelled to give and give and give to them. I can't help myself. All I can do is give and give. Even if my intuition is telling me they don't respect me, they don't value me, right? And it all ends badly, of course. And out of the revolving door comes another one, and it starts all over again. Do you ever ask yourself that? Like, why does this keep happening over and over again? This is samskaras. Well, these revolving door people, you can call them, they're no stranger to you. You've been with them lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. That's why that compulsion is so strong. And all these samskaras, they're the script, right? So you've got your script and they have their script. And, right, you've never moved from the script. Right? There's no room for improvising when it comes to samskaras. You stick to the lines. So it can be challenging, right, to put down that script and move off that page. And maybe you've noticed this. So the higher and higher and higher our vibration becomes by doing your spiritual work and your spiritual effort, and plus the evolutionary energy, right, on the planet for the Aquarian Age, the more challenging these karmic patterns become. So this is not the time to beat yourself up when you're seeing these patterns come up. It's like, why can't I heal this thing, right? I've had this thing all my life. It just seems it won't go away. This is the time to just have compassion, okay? Because there's a way out here, and I'm going to share that with you. So out in the world, let's look at the collective, because I like to look at the collective too. So out in the world, you know, because what we see out in the world is just a reflection of what's going on in the collective unconscious of humanity. So out in the world, let's look at the collective samskaras, the collective karmic patterns lifting into the light, right, so that we can see them. So I was reflecting on this morning as I was preparing for this video. And so the old stories of Nazi Germany, right, with the racism and the scapegoating of brown and black people. And look at the language, infestation. That's a trigger word from the past, right? So there's one example of the samskaras. The genocide of the indigenous people, right? So right now we're seeing people who are indigenous people protecting the water, protecting the sacred land, even here in Hawaii, right, and protecting planet Earth all over the world. Slavery, right? So you can look at no further than the exploitation of workers, even by Amazon, right? People are treated like machines, and every minute has to be accounted for, even at a bathroom break, right? If you're 30 seconds over, you've got to report to your manager. And look at the mass incarceration, right, of brown and black people in prisons for cheap labor. That's all the slavery. That's the old slavery samskara, the old stories coming up. The French Revolution, I've been really kind of obsessed with the French Revolution these days. And we're seeing this now, right? The oppression of the common people by the ruling class, right? The massive greed of the ruling class living in their bubble at the expense of exploiting workers, right, who keep everything running. Or the witch burnings, right? That's the next one that I can really feel is coming to the surface. And this is the oppression of women through man-made laws, right? Controlling women's bodies through taking away reproductive rights. And then the lawlessness and disrespect of life, right? From the time of before the birth of Jesus Christ, right? There's a lawlessness there and a disrespect for life. Right, and we're seeing that now through mass gun shootings, right? We've seen so much of that in the USA, and we actually had 2 this weekend if you've been following the news. So that's another story. And then the big one is the threat of the extinction of our species, right? Right, through the fall of Atlantis and Lemuria. So we're seeing this trigger through global warming and corporate greed. So I'm sure there are more old stories coming out. Maybe you can think of another one. If you can, write it in the comment box. Okay, so I can hear you now. CATALYST Yogi, you're a Debbie Downer. If I wanted to feel hopeless and despair, I would have gone over and watched the mainstream news. So remember that I'm not about bringing people into despair, right, and pointing all the negative out. I'm here about bringing the cave to you and then elevating you up. So you must understand, right, because Mars, the planet Mars, is in the gift of understanding this new moon. So it's also showing us that we need to understand in order to transcend these samskaras, personally and collectively. So all these stories, why are they coming up, right? Well, they're being purged from our DNA, right? We're going through a great purification process right now so we can raise in higher frequency, but also so we can make different choices as a humanity. So same old stories are coming up, but we're going to make different choices than our ancestors did, right? We're going to choose from our hearts. We're not going to choose from fear. So for example, when because ICE is really in the collective right now, right? So ICE, i.e. the Gestapo from Nazi Germany, the old story, comes to take away an undocumented Mexican father who lived in the U.S. for over 12 years. Okay, so here's the different choice. His neighbors came and formed a circle around him and wouldn't let ICE take him away, or his son. So here's a different choice, right? Instead of letting the Gestapo come and take away your Jewish neighbors to the concentration camps, you make a different choice. So this is what we're being called, right? To make different choices, to get off that script, right? Put down the script and make different choices. So the official gift, right, for this gene key, like each gene key has a name for the shadow, a name for the gift, a name for the city. So the gift is mindfulness, which does not resonate with me at all. Mindfulness to me means full of mind, and mind is not the answer. The more we leave the mind out of the equation, the better we move through these shadow patterns. So a better word, and the word I use, is awareness, right? So being aware of these karmic patterns in yourself. Be aware of your behavior, especially behavior that's been with you for a long, long time. And you may be completely unconscious, but the new moon is going to show you, right? Because something's being seeded for this new moon, so we can transcend these samskaras. And as you do this, as you become more aware of your behavior and your thought patterns and asking yourself why I do this, the more your samskaras will start to unwind from your DNA, right? And then you'll be able to go to the root through your awareness. So don't stay on the surface. Go to the root. And then when that default behavior comes up, you'll stop it in midair, right, before it gets expressed in the world. And this only incurs more karma, and then it strengthens these samskaras. So this is really, like I said, the second line. So it has a lot to do with our relationships, right, because it's a second line. And the programming partner of this 33rd is the 19, and that's codependence. So these two work together. So this is energetically wound around someone else that you've been wound around from lifetimes and lifetimes, chained together, right, to work something out. And this shadow, right, the shadow of forgetting, it hides our shared past lives, right? We have no idea that we've shared past lives together, but you will know because there's a charge and there's a pull and there's a magnetism with that other person that you two have been on that rodeo many, many times together. So I want to use a personal example so you can land this. So my earthly father was a hothead. He still is pretty much a hothead, if I'm honest, right? So he reacts to his emotions, right? And he's always in conflict. He's always fighting with someone, right? Since I've known him, since a child, he was always in conflict with someone. So in my old sleepy days, when I was deep in my own samskaras, I would react to him, right? I would react to his reactions, and we would argue and fight all throughout my teen years and early 20s. So fast forward, right, years later, after much deep healing work on my part and forgiveness work and taking responsibility for what I attract into my life, right? So now I know. So I visit my father in Nova Scotia a couple years ago, and he invited me to dinner, but I didn't receive the phone call until the next day, right? So I went to dinner with an old friend instead that night, right? Everything perfectly orchestrated by the universe. So the next day I went over to visit him, and immediately upon seeing me, he started yelling at me, calling me names, right? I never want to see you again. What are you doing with your life? Blah, blah, blah. The old dad script, right? So my old script would have been to get on the defense and then attack back. But I dropped that script a long time ago, right? So it doesn't even surface anymore. So as I witnessed him in his script in full-on rage, I remained calm and present with him. And then my intuition bubbled through and it said, right, it said very clearly and neutrally, he feels rejected by you and he can't express his hurt to you. Right, the truth, he feels rejected by you. That's why he's acting this way, and he can't express his hurt to you. He can only express his samskaras. And in that moment, I had so much love and compassion for him. So I stopped the pattern just with my awareness and calmly said, I'm here now with you. Let's enjoy our time together. And I also brought you a gift. And then he stopped, right? He totally stopped. And he loves golf. And I brought him this super fancy, like PGA golf hat from Sedona. And before my eyes, he turned into this sweet little boy in energy. And he actually went into the house quickly later because I could tell he was crying. So awareness is love. And the power of love can shift these samskaras. They can shift these scripts, right? Where you get to drop the script and then connect in truth with one another. So in truth, our cells, right? In our cells, we're born with these samskaras, these past life memories, and they create our most challenging relationships. So this new moon is giving us an opportunity to release past life memories. So pay attention to your life, most especially to your most challenging relationships. So there you go. And so practice the free meditation that I posted last Wednesday. I did a live stream, and this is a good one. It's really simple. You do it only for 3 minutes. And it's a Kundalini Yoga meditation to forgive and bless yourself. Okay? Just want to check down here before I get to the next one. I love all the same little people. Yes, that Anji B, the guilt of isolating yourself is totally related to this shadow pattern. And so there's a root thought, right, that's driving that behavior. But now you catch it. The thing is, when you're in the samskara, you don't realize it. There's lots of excuses, right? Why I'm spending so much time alone. Yeah. Okay. All right, my can. It's the green screen catch. It's a light blue on the can. That's why. Okay. So the next thing I want to announce is, let me see. Yeah. I still haven't learned this. Okay. Okay, so that's the new moon chart. So you see the 33. Yeah, 33, and then it's the 0.2, right? So there's the moon and there's the sun in that. So you see that. And then the other thing right here is my new series. So live series, and it's the 6 Primal Wounds Healing Series. This is totally coming from intuitive guidance. And so it's the clear ancestral karma, expand your radiance, activate your DNA. So we're born, we have got our samskaras that are wrapped tightly around our DNA. Well, to go even more detailed, we have 6 primal wounds, right, that we're born with. And these come from our ancestral patterns. So in the program, we'll go week by week by week. Each Saturday, it's going to be a Saturday going through each one of the primal wounds. So it's not going to be like the Eclipse series. It's more informational. Like this is informational, but this is a healing. This is a healing program. So we'll have a meditation for you to practice every day for that week. You'll have writing exercises to do. You'll have action items to do. And the tools are Kundalini Yoga meditation, of course, yogic teachings, the gene keys, shadow astrology, and then Course in Miracles, which I love. Did the whole couple years ago Course in Miracles, which keeps coming through. Okay? So I've got the early bird special, and that ends on August 4th or something like that. So check that out. If you're called, you got to join in. It's going to be really, really deep. And so the thing is, because people, they want to help, right? We see the world is in such distress and turmoil. right? You must see this and feel this. And it's like, well, what can I do? What can I do? It's out there, going out there for the spiritual people that are committed to their spiritual journey. That's not the way for us to go, right? Yes, of course, we're going to be in the world. And if you're called, yes. But we need a spiritual revolution. That's what we really need. So when we activate our DNA, we're all connected through the quantum field. That's what connects us all. So when you activate your DNA, this sends a high frequency into the quantum field. And then this helps elevate the field of consciousness for humanity. And then it's suddenly people are saying, oh, why are we going to war? Why are we spending all this money to kill each other? Like, if you go up and say that to someone, they're not going to listen. But if they feel the frequency reaching their DNA, they'll come to it on their own. Okay? So that's the way to go, because the energy, right? We all come from energy. So that's the way to shift it, is at the energetic level before it manifests on the physical. So I'm really excited, to be honest, but I'm really fearful too, because people who teach know that, the teacher isn't like, I know everything in the Aquarian Age and you don't know anything and I'm going to tell you everything. It's like, no, the teacher goes first and goes through this experience, and I'm already in it, right? I'm already in the first week. So, but I'm open, right? I'm open to healing, and I love growing and evolving, right? And you know this yourself. When you grow and evolve, it's like, oh, and you have that awareness and breakthrough. It's like, oh, I want the next one. I want the next one. Okay. So we got some questions here. Thank you, Joy, for the story. My father has presented with me with so many great stories. He's definitely a karmic buddy, him. And I learned so much from about myself too. Because the thing is with parents, if you have that, because our parents are often our karma buddies, and that we've shared lifetimes and lifetimes. Maybe we were their father in the past life, or their spouse, or their brother, or their sister, right? We flip around like that. Those are the ones, when you get to that state of compassion, because people think forgiveness, they don't go all the way. Well, they think, well, mentally I forgive my father. But you're not. To go all the way means you have this unconditional love for that other person. All you do is you feel love and compassion. That's when you know that you've completely forgiven them, and then release them from that role, right? So here's a hot tip, right? If you have father issues, it means you're not trusting your own inner guidance, right? Your own inner guidance, because really we're on this cross, right? And the cross is the father, mother, sister, brother. And so we go to our family, and that's what we need to heal. So if we have issues with somebody in our life, that even if you don't have a sister, but you have a sisterly kind of relationships, and that's going to represent something that you need to heal. Because remember, in the Aquarian Age, we're becoming whole unto ourselves. Okay. On GB, when I was at the coffee house, which the barista noted and commented on a lot. Okay. So Julie Bean, can you explain a little bit how ancestral karma and inner child wounds are related? Okay. Well, they get played out, right? Because they're continuing. So in this lifetime, I mean, that's the closest we can get to those ancestral wounds, is within our childhood, because they completely start to play out. So right back to me, which I talked about, the seed thought of like, it's not safe for me to be out in the world. You attract a mother and father that are going to reinforce that, right? Reinforce that thought through actually speaking it and actually modeling it to you. So this strengthens the samskaras, right? So it's a way in, like they're all connected, right? Because in essence, your inner child is always inside you, but it's part of that ancestral line that you're in, because you must have noticed how much you change and transition, right? As you let go of these old ancestral patterns, it's almost like you become a completely different person, separate from that. But that inner child is still connected, right, to your ancestors. So those wounds are there, and they'll be directly connected to your samskaras, like your wounds. And the 6 primal wounds, they go right back to not only to your childhood, but to the little fetus. That's when they get laid down, these 6 primal wounds, when you're the fetus in your mom's wound, right? So womb, womb, right? It goes that far back. Okay. I hope that answers your question. Hedda says, you should get more views. Yes, I want more views. I want to reach more people. But it's about, I don't know if you've seen the meme that I posted on Instagram and Facebook. You should check it out because that was for me. I needed to see that. Why is my growth so slow? I hope you guys go to Facebook and look at it. That's what you need to see. Right. Same thing, right? My mom, yeah, on GB, my mom is basically a shut-in and my dad was a workaholic. Yeah. And that's another big distraction. So, right, this is something to explore this new moon. And so the thing is with exploring and going into these deeper patterns, it's really about your intention. Like really set your intention. Like I'm ready to see the truth. I want to see the truth. It's the prayer. You put a prayer out to the universe has to respond, and it will respond through an experience. That's my experience, that you just don't get the oh, here's what you do, like the words. You actually attract an experience in your life. And then right, and then that's how we learn. We're learning through experience now for the Aquarian age. Okay, and then you watch, right? Let it come and you watch and you make different choices. So just to really explore that, like what do I usually do, right, in this situation? You'll go, it's just really easy. That's what I found. Really, really easy how it comes to you. The memories just start to come up. Joy Chan, that's a big issue. We cannot escape our parents, right? We can't run away from our parents. That's this whole thing. Well, I'm in my soul tribe now. My family of origin, I'm done with them. Like, forget that. You're never done with them. They're inside you. And if you don't deal with them, then you attract them, right? And other people. Somebody else will play your mother. Somebody else will play your father so they can deal with that. But it's best to go back to the big kahunas where it all started, right? Okay. And then Hari Daw says, my dream last night, my brother and sisters disowned me. I reacted big time. Yeah. Yeah. So that's some scar work that you can do. Okay. Going to the root. You spoke of going in what context? Inner works consulting. You spoke of going to the root. Yes, your story. I've been really called to do that. That's why I've my program, right, with the inner child work. Really called to share that because it's really, really needed. I remember sharing stories at the Tulsa men's camp, right? All the graybeards, all in their 60s, were in tears when I shared my forgiveness story about my father. This is really touching. Okay, so there you go. There you go. I lost my my moon. Okay, so if you haven't subscribed to my channel, then do that. And sometimes they unsubscribe people, YouTube. So check that. Make sure that you're subscribed and like the video, and ring the bell so you're notified of a live stream. And keep your eyes peeled around Wednesdays for something, right? Something, I may do something on Wednesday. And then if you have any questions about my series, just shoot me an email. Really, really excited about it. The eclipse one is, the post-eclipse series is ending tomorrow. Okay, so have a great day or evening or wherever you are, okay? And keep trusting, keep elevating yourself, and keep exploring yourself, because just you being your authentic self is healing the world. It's that easy. So, right, continually love yourself and love all the people around you. That's your job. Okay? Not going out with the placards and this and that, you know, what people think. If I can't do that, then I'm going belly up. It's like, no, it's about love. It's really about love. So know that, because we're connected through the quantum field. Okay. Satnam, everybody. Aloha.